Yeah, it was like something that was really inside of me that it's almost like therapy trying to get it out, honestly. Once I get out on the mic, I feel better. I feel nervous while I'm doing it, but I feel much better when I'm finished.
Damien, I'm really glad that you brought up the Incredible Hulk. That's a big chapter of my life, and kind of like yourself, the temper that I had as a child. But I had a revelation, I think, around college age, around that age, when I was like, you know what, diving into the psychology of it, I was like, I think, and fast forwarding on a tangent to the Mr. Rogers documentary lately, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like, he grew up in a family where it was like, not allowed to express anger. So I think it was like having that revelation of the Incredible Hulk movie, like that you had that controlled anger or something, where you could, it was okay to express it when the time was needed to help others, maybe, but not yourself. I don't know, but just at that point, I mean, that part of the show really hit me close to home. And I was wondering, obviously, you made a song out of that, and the life lessons you learned from it. Well, what are some of the other things that contributed to your growth through your music, as far as just who you are,
Probably,
maybe in the writing process too?
Probably I would say 99.9% of the artists who do it is an outlet first. It's like you said, it's almost like therapy for yourself, taking Incredible Hope, for example. Like, my thing was, not to try to trump you, but I grew up in a family of 12. So it was so I was like the middle child of all of that. And being in that type of family, like, you kind of get lost in the shuffle. I was raised by a single mom. So, and at a young age, I saw a lot of horrific things. I lost 2 of my older brothers to the street, 2 younger brothers went to prison. So you see that around, and that anger started acting out in that way. And it wasn't because I thought I was the toughest guy around. It came because I was afraid of everything. And I realized that as I got older, but as a child, you don't know what's going on. It's just like, oh, somebody's in my space, attack. So that was kind of like where that came from. But I feel like that's how music is. Like, each one of those songs that I play, they mean something to me, and there was a part of that was me that I was able to express when maybe I couldn't express it another way.
Corey, with you having so many different outlets like you talked about, tell us a little bit about your creative process. I mean, is it something that, like, hey, it comes out, like, whether it's a rap or a poem or a story or a drawing, and then you're like, hey, just tell us what seems to work most for you for your poem?
It's kind of crazy. Stuff just pops up in my head a lot of times. But it pops up, like, I don't do any drugs. Like, I really don't even drink alcohol for the most part. Like, at a wedding, I might do a toast or whatever. But I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do nothing. Only thing I have as a vice really is sleep deprivation and sugar. And the reason I mention that is I sometimes stay up like super late and eat chocolate. And so and paint and write and listen to music. And I've done that for like years. I know it sounds like a romanticized version of something, but that's literally how I used to do all the time. I don't get the chance to do it as much. It's like I'm trying to run a business, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, like 80 different things as we mentioned. But really, honestly, for whatever reason, like in the middle of the night when it's really quiet, when I can't hear anything, like there's no movement, I get the most creative. Like, it's just super quiet, it's just dead silent, and I'm just like, I know now, I know what to say. I know what to paint. I know what to create. Because I'm kind of inventor too a little bit, but that's going too far. Anyway, that's pretty much somewhat of my creative process. It's haphazard a little bit, unfortunately, but because there's still people waiting for portraits for me, so I'm gonna leave that alone.
We'll edit that. No names. One last question before plugs for Damien on this one. You were talking about the travel music, taking you traveling all around the world and everything, and I was just wondering what, like a little synopsis or your take on what travels have meant to you and your art, and then also being around people like Robert Randolph and say John Legend. Like, what have you learned that stuck out that showed you that, again, reaffirm that you're on the right track with your music, and then what maybe a lesson learned that you implement into your art?
Okay, I'm going to kind of approach it back. No, I got it. I'm going to approach it backwards, though. I'm going to kind of start with the artists I've been able to work with. Like I've had the opportunity to tour John Legend, work with Robert Randolph, a slew of artists, And the thing I saw that was kind of the common thread was just the work ethic. It's just like, and so that's always challenged me to to practice my craft, to continue to write, to I remember the first time I had the opportunity to open up for John Legend, we were literally sitting in the same dressing room, and I was trying not to geek out, freak out about it, and everything he did, I was just mimicking. He would do a vocal, warm up, and then I'd go into the bathroom and practice the same kind of vocal. I was just kind of mirroring what he did, but I always think when you want to become great or you see something that is great, to emulate that. So that's what I picked up from those guys, being around people, from John Legend to the Big and Rich guys and everything in between. And then going back to what I've learned from my travels, I think the biggest thing I love your poem called "Bigot," by the way, and I think it kind of coincides with the biggest thing I learned about travel. I've been all over the world. I've had the opportunity to go to everywhere from Australia to the Middle East to Italy and Africa, all around the place. And the thing that I learned in my travels, even because before that my mind was so narrow, and you kind of get fed what you see people are on television and how life is, in your own little bubble. But when you get exposed to the world, you realize, man, there's guys like you and I standing in the Middle East, having a good time, having a drink, and just normal people. And you for some reason, you get fear pumped in you from all different directions, and you start believing stereotypes about this group of people and this group of people. So what I say, for me, travel really opened my eyes to that. It's he's just like I am, and I'm just like him. So it broke down that wall, that fear wall, and that ignorance wall, So yeah.
They stay up all night and eat chocolate in Mexico.
Exactly. And try to build hovercrafts.
All of it. Before we let y'all go, can you all, share some plugs for different things, events, projects, events, or anything going on, connoisseur, or anything up next, or records, or anything?
I do a painting class called The Connoisseur, Eat, Drink, and Paint. What I usually like to do is have wonderful artists like, Isis Christopher over there. She's awesome, honestly, for real. She has sung at quite a few. Used to work with this artist called Damien. His name is Dante Marsh. He actually moved to Cali. He was awesome as well. There's quite a few artists I've worked with. I've been actually doing those classes for 3 years. So I'm going to have another one coming up, probably a public one, but I have a bunch of private ones. There's the Nashville Poetry Events group on Facebook that we like to post all of this stuff on. There's also Nashville Visual Arts. Definitely look at that. And there's stuff to do Nashville. So you can find different wonderful events like this. And come on out, support the people, always.
For me, there's a few projects. I always keep my hand in a few different things. I don't like to sit still, probably like my brother Corey. I like to keep moving. So, one, I am a part of a country duo, Americana country duo called New North, and we tour and we play open for other artists. We're trying to climb that ladder like we were before. And then I also we do a show once a month called The Good Life, and it's out at my partner's barn, and it's like a big barn party, so it's a lot of fun. And we actually got one this Saturday in Hendersonville. And then next week I play once a month on a Wednesday night with a group of people called the Music City Mob. And it's just a collection of my friends who, every one of them's had record deals and ups and downs of the business, but it's almost like a music revival. We just it's free to the public. We just don't want to deal with money. We don't want to deal with labels. We don't want to deal with any of that kind of stuff. We just want to have, it's next Wednesday the 29th, I believe it is, next Wednesday at the local. Downtown.
And can you find both that one and the other barn thing on your website?
Yeah, on everything's you can find all of it at DamienHorne.com or my social media sites. And the last thing I want to talk about is the thing I'm probably most proud of is I also do a lot of public speaking. I travel and I get to speak at youth events and stuff, kind of tell my story. And I created a one-man show that kind of talks about my life and my maneuvering through this crazy world, finding God, finding purpose, and living out that purpose.